Somewhere between 1 in 5 and 1 in 3 older adults who breaks a hip does not survive the year. Read that again, because it is not a statistic about broken bones. It is a statistic about how fast an independent life can end. And here is the part almost nobody tells you. Most of those falls do not happen on an icy sidewalk or a hiking trail. They happen at home. A great many of them happen in the bedroom, and a good number happen in the first 60 seconds of the day, in the few steps between the mattress and the bathroom door, before the body has had any chance to catch up with the fact that it is upright. I am Dr. Patterson, 15 years of practice, and I have watched this exact story more times than I want to count. Someone independent, sharp, still driving. They swing their legs out of bed the way they have every morning for 50 years. They stand up, the room tips, they reach for something that is not there, and that is it. That is the whole story. Not a decline, not a disease. 60 seconds. So today, I am giving you 5 exercises to do before your feet ever touch the floor. You do every one of them lying down, in your bed, still under the covers. You do not need to get up. You do not need equipment. You do not need to be able to get down on the floor, because you are already exactly where you need to be. The whole thing takes about 5 minutes, and it is the cheapest insurance you will ever buy. We count down from 5 to 1, and number 1 is the most important of them all. It is the 30 seconds everything else is preparing you for, and I promise you are doing it wrong right now. But watch for number 3 especially, because number 3 is the stretch that almost every person over 60 does the instant they wake up, on pure instinct. And first thing in the morning, it may be the single worst thing you can do to your back. I will explain exactly why and what to do instead. Before we start, tell me one thing in the comments. When you stand up in the morning, do you ever get that gray, swimmy moment where you have to steady yourself? Be honest. I read every one, and the answers shape what I make next for you. And while we are here, because it matters to me you hear it, everything I am about to show you is one piece of a much bigger picture. The small daily habits that quietly decide whether you are still walking strong at 80 or reaching for a cane at 70. I took everything I tell my own patients about staying mobile and independent and put it into one simple plan. It has already helped thousands of people over 60. If you want it, the link is sitting right there on your screen whenever you are ready. You do not need to write anything down, and I will never make you sit through me reading a web address out loud. Now let me show you what actually happens to your body over 7 hours of lying perfectly still, because once you see it, all 5 of these will make sense. What 8 hours of stillness does to you. 3 things happen while you sleep, and they stack. The first is your blood pressure, and this is the one that puts people on the floor. When you have been horizontal for 7 or 8 hours, your body settles into that. The moment you stand, gravity pulls a rush of blood down into your legs and away from your head, and your body has to react in about 1 second. Squeeze the vessels, lift the heart rate, hold the pressure up to your brain. That reflex is called the baroreflex, and in a younger body, it is instant. After 60, it gets slower and less sharp. When it lags, the pressure to your brain drops and the room swims. Doctors call it orthostatic hypotension, and it is common. Roughly 1 in 5 adults over 65 has it to some degree. Most of them do not know they have it. They have simply learned to hold the dresser for a second and get on with their day. That gray moment is not a quirk of aging. It is a fall that has not found the wrong morning yet. The second is your spine, and this one genuinely surprises people. While you lie there with the weight off your back, the discs between your vertebrae soak up fluid and swell like sponges. That is why you are measurably taller when you wake up than when you went to bed, usually around ½ an inch. But a swollen disc is a stiff disc under pressure. Researchers who studied this found the bending stresses on your lower back are substantially higher in the early morning than they are later in the day. Your back is at its most vulnerable in exactly the hour you ask the most of it. Bending for your slippers, twisting to make the bed, hauling yourself upright. The third is simple stillness. Those 7 or 8 hours are the longest stretch of complete immobility in your entire day. Blood pools, joints go tacky. The muscles that hold you upright have not fired once in hours. And then, on no warning at all, you ask that body to go from flat on its back to standing and walking in about 4 seconds. That is the window. Everything that follows is about closing it, and every one of these is done before you leave the bed, which is precisely the point. The preparation has to happen where the risk is. Let us start at number 5. Number 5. Slow breathing before you move a muscle. We start with the one that does not look like exercise at all. Before you move a single limb, you are going to breathe. 10 slow breaths flat on your back. Here is why it earns the first slot rather than a throwaway mention. That baroreflex we just talked about, the reflex that keeps the pressure up to your brain when you stand, is not fixed. It responds to your breathing. Slow, deep breathing at around 6 breaths a minute has been shown to sharpen baroreflex sensitivity and is associated with modest drops in blood pressure. In plain terms, you are warming up the exact reflex that is about to be tested. You are also switching your nervous system out of sleep and into the day, and pulling yourself out of that heavy, half-drugged grogginess doctors call sleep inertia, the fog that makes the first minute feel like moving through water. Here is how. Lie on your back and put one hand flat on your belly. Breathe in slowly through your nose for a count of 4, and the goal is for the hand on your belly to rise while your chest stays quiet. That means the diaphragm is doing the work, not your shoulders. Then breathe out slowly through your mouth for a count of 6. Longer out than in ow, that matters. That is 1 breath. Do 10 of them. It costs you about 90 seconds, and you have not moved a muscle, but you have woken the reflex that decides whether the room tips when you stand. Number 4, ankle pumps and circles. Number 4 gets the blood moving, and you do this one flat on your back too. Your calf muscles are not only for walking. Every time your calf tightens, it squeezes the deep veins in your lower leg and physically pushes blood back up toward your chest. Doctors call it the calf muscle pump. Some of us call it your second heart, and that is not a cute figure of speech. It is a real pump, and it has been switched completely off for 8 hours. This is also the very first exercise patients are given after surgery, before they are allowed to stand, precisely because it stops blood pooling and stagnating in the lower legs while they are stuck lying down. If that is what we use it for in a hospital bed, it is worth 90 seconds in your own. To do it, lie flat with your legs straight and relaxed. Pull your toes up toward your shins, hold for a beat, then point them away, like easing onto a gas pedal. Slow and deliberate. You should feel your calf working. That is 1 repetition. Do 20. Then circle each foot slowly, 10 one direction, 10 the other. 20 seconds of this, and you are pushing blood back up toward the head you are about to ask to keep you upright. If you have ever had that swimmy moment on standing, numbers 5 and 4 together are written specifically for you. Number 3, the knee rock and the stretch to stop doing. Here is the one I told you to watch for. And I need to start with the thing you are almost certainly doing wrong. Think about what you do the second you wake up. Most people, on pure instinct, pull their knees up toward their chest and curl into a big, satisfying stretch. It feels wonderful. It feels like exactly what a stiff back is asking for. And first thing in the morning, it may be the worst thing you can do to your lower back. Go back to what we said about those discs. Overnight, they swell up full of fluid, and they are at their most pressurized and least forgiving in that first hour. And the movement that stresses a fluid-swollen disc the most is deep forward bending of the spine, which is precisely what a hard knee-to-chest curl is. The research on this is real, and the practical advice that came out of it is straightforward. Go easy on full-range spinal flexion in the first hour after you wake. This matters even more if you have osteoporosis or thinning bones, where deep spinal flexion is something we actively steer people away from. So, the stretch that feels the best in that moment is the one your back is least prepared for. That is number 3, and I would tape it to your headboard. Here is what to do instead. It is called a knee rock, and it moves your spine through gentle rotation rather than a deep curl. Lie on your back and bend both knees so your feet are flat on the bed, hip-width apart. Let your arms rest out to the sides. Now let both knees fall slowly a few inches to the right, together like a windshield wiper, and stop as soon as you feel a gentle pull. Not a stretch you have to brace for. A gentle pull. Pause for 2 seconds, then bring them back through the middle and let them fall a few inches to the left. That is 1 repetition. Do 8 to 10, slow and small. Small is the whole instruction. You are not trying to twist yourself in half. You are moving fluid, warming the tissue, and waking the small stabilizing muscles around your spine before you ask your back to lift your entire body upright. One caution here specifically: if you have had a hip replacement, check with your surgeon or physical therapist before you do any rotation like this, because there are often restrictions on how the hip is allowed to turn, and they know your details and I do not. Quick pause, because this is the natural spot to ask. If any of this is landing for you, tap the like button and subscribe. It honestly helps this reach more people over 60 who need it. And tell me down in the comments, were you a knee-to-chest person? Most people are, and nobody ever told them. Now, back to the countdown. Number 2, the hip lift. Number 2 wakes up the biggest, most powerful muscle you own, and after 60, the one most likely to have quietly gone to sleep on the job. Your glutes, the muscles across your backside. They are not there for decoration. They are your hip extensors, the engine that drives you up out of a chair, up a flight of stairs, up off the toilet, and forward with every step you take. And after a lifetime of sitting, they get lazy and other smaller muscles take over jobs they were never built for. That is when the lower back starts complaining about work the glutes should have been doing. Waking them up before you stand means the right muscle is on duty when you ask your body to lift itself. Here is how. Lie on your back with your knees bent and your feet flat on the bed, about hip-width apart, heels pulled back reasonably close to your backside, arms flat at your sides. Now press down through your heels and lift your hips off the bed. Just a few inches is plenty. As you lift, squeeze your backside hard. That squeeze is the entire exercise. Hold at the top for 3 seconds, breathing normally, then lower slowly, 1 bone at a time, and settle. That is 1 repetition. Do 10. The detail everyone misses. You should feel this in your backside, not in your lower back. If your back is doing the talking, you are lifting too high. Come down lower and squeeze harder. Height is not the goal. The squeeze is the goal. One honest note: if your mattress is very soft, this one gets awkward and loses some of its value because you sink instead of press. If that is you, do fewer and focus hard on the squeeze, or save this one for the edge of the bed or a firm surface later. Number 1, the log roll. And here is number 1, and I will be straight with you. It is not really an exercise at all. It is 30 seconds. It is the 30 seconds everything else in this video was preparing you for. And it is the one I would keep if you made me throw out the other 4. It is how you actually get out of the bed. Watch how most people do it. They lie on their back and haul themselves straight up into a sitting position, a hard, fast-forward curl of the spine, then swing their legs around and stand up all in one motion. Look at what that is. It is the deepest possible flexion of a fluid-swollen morning spine, loaded with the full weight of your upper body, followed immediately by going vertical before your blood pressure has any idea what is happening. Every single risk we have talked about today, stacked into one movement, done half asleep, in the dark, at the edge of a mattress. And most people have done it that way every morning of their adult life. There is a better way, and physical therapists teach it to every single patient after a back or hip surgery for exactly these reasons. It is called the log roll, and the name tells you everything. You move like a log, all in one piece, instead of bending in the middle. Here is how. Start on your back with your knees bent and your feet flat. Roll your whole body onto your side toward the edge of the bed. Shoulders, ribs, and hips turning together as one unit. No twisting in the middle. Let your knees drift toward the edge and let your lower legs drop off the side of the bed. Now, and this is the part that does the work, push yourself up sideways with your bottom elbow and your top hand while your legs swing down. Your legs going down act like a counterweight that lifts your trunk up. Your back never bends. It stays a log, and your legs do the lifting. Now you are sitting on the edge. And here is the last instruction, and it may be the most important one in this entire video. Sit there. Do not spring up. Give it a slow count of 10. Let your feet find the floor. Let that barrow reflex, the one you warmed up with your breathing 5 minutes ago, catch up and get the pressure back to your brain. Then stand up slowly with something solid within arm's reach. That is it. That is the whole 30 seconds. And it protects your spine at its most vulnerable hour and your blood pressure at its most exposed moment at the same time, for free, every single morning. I am Dr. Patterson. Take good care of those first 60 seconds. They are worth more than the rest of the day put together. I will see you there.